Hey guys, welcome to another episode of All Bass Creations Effects, Tutorials, Demos, and Review. Today, we'll be going through pretty much what's the major differences between having something like this Zoom B6 right here. Let me see, make sure y'all can see that a little bit better. Zoom B6, right? So that's standard size multi effects pedal, right? You know, it gives you a few options, 6 effects at a time that you can program, but you also get a looper and all these other things, presets. You can organize the presets or patches into banks as well. So you can have things set up for shows and everything else, and just at a click of a button going back and forth. Or you can have something like all these different pedals you see here. Let me see. Let me get this together here. Where you have like an array of pedals on a pedal board. So start right off the back. Some of the main differences are going to be that the pedal board is just going to cost you more. You know, it is going to be pricier. You know, buying individual pedals and, you know, like every single one of those costs money, right? Compared to something like a Zoom B6, you pretty much get the majority of effects that you would need in one unit. $500 right off the gate. Or you can get something smaller like a Zoom MS60B Plus. That still runs you 6 effects, just less quality, and that's, you know, $140. Now, that all sounds well and good until you start getting into, you know, like when I first started off, that served me very well. And even now, sometimes I just take my Zoom B6 because it has all those features built into it, you know, everything I would need for a live show, compressor. So what you were listening to at first was the Zoom B6 with, was that it has a DBX 160A compressor emulation, and I was running also the pre-1073 that if you watch my stuff, you've heard me talk about a few times. It's a Neve 1073 mic clone, but it's really good. So yeah, you'll notice that sound is really good. It's hard to tell the difference between that, analog, and everything else. We're not even talking about digital versus analog right now. We're really just talking about, let me get this together because I don't want to have to. There we go. We're really just talking about individual pedals versus one big pedal like this, Zoom B6, pretty much. So now, one of the benefits of having an actual pedal board like these is it's like a modular synth in a way. So you pretty much got a lot of different options. Oh, if you're on Facebook and you want to see what I'm talking about with the pedals and stuff, you can head over to YouTube at the Bass Negus, Negus, and you'll be able to see everything going on the screen and all that good stuff, all the pedals, all that stuff. But you can kind of see it right here, what I'm talking about. These are the individual pedals, but let me see, help you guys out. This is a multi-effects unit. So there we go. There you go. But you can head over to YouTube if you want the best view. So thanks for y'all joining me on YouTube as well. You know, make sure y'all subscribe, like, and share. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me on YouTube and Twitch. Matter of fact, I don't want to leave y'all out either. Appreciate y'all. But yeah, so it's like a modular synth. So if you look at how I have things broken down, this section here, this is included with this section. It's pretty much my octaves. You know, gives me all my basic, allows me to transform my bass sound right off the bat. So turn this on. bypass this. So just starting out, you know, each section of your pedal board would be its own like own style of effect. So for me, I put all my octaves and stuff towards the beginning. So I'll have like my poly blue available to me. So I have something like that available, or the Hog 2. What's going on? So it's giving you options right off the back, right? So each section, so that's the octave section. Then you throw on like you can do an overdrive or something like that. But then you got the filter section, right? So these three here are filters. So, and then I have like my preamps shaping things as well. And if you can't really see all the way down here on the floor, but I have another set of like synth type stuff, key 9, mel 9, all that good stuff down here on the floor. And here's this part is like my mini gigging pedal board here, the smaller part, this few right here. So then all that actually runs into these two pedals here. So it's like all of this is really one big pedal board when I hook it all together. Like all of these pedals function as one big pedal board. That's not really practical to take on most gigs. Like, you know, partly the reason why I had to make a smaller version of it with just 6 effects on it, 6 pedals on it. You know, you don't want to, with the price difference, right? You don't want to be taking $3,000-$4,000 worth of pedals with you on a gig it's on, you know, only an hour and it's paying, you know, a couple $100. You know, why would you take $3,000? You know, your bass is already expensive enough. Amp is already expensive enough. Taking a bunch of expensive pedals out with you, you know, people walk around with drinks and everything else, you know, it's kind of dangerous on your gear. So you definitely want to minimize that sometimes. So this is where multi-effects pedals come in handy, like the Zoom B6, because it has such a variety of effects. I don't have to take all these different sections of pedals, you know, and I don't have to really compromise as much as you would think, meaning I still, within the multi-effects unit, am going to have different units, different sections of effects. So I'm going to have more than one filter. I'm going to have more than one octave pedal. I'm going to have more than one preamp, all that in the multi-effects unit. So that makes a huge difference. You know, when I take the Zoom B6, I can literally just come, let me make sure everything else off. I can literally just, where we at? I have it set up where the banks, so each bank is, let's see how many is in here. So each bank is 4, right? So I can come to the memory mode on something like this, and it's going to give me access, instead of these acting as individual effects on the Zoom B6, instead of these acting as individual effects on and off, it allows me to just switch presets. So I can have, right? So I get all of that in one pedal. You know, mind you, if I need access to the rest of my patches or you know, things like that, I can easily get to those. I have a looper built in here. So all that for around the you know, getting into the game of effects, you know, around the 500, you know, that's a real good, it's a real good price point, you know, for all those different, the quality, you got to take into account the quality. And this is where people, they make a mistake. Sometimes they'll see something like a Zoom MS60B Plus and then a Zoom B6 and think, oh, well, it's just as good as a B6. It's not. It's not even. So the quality isn't the same, as well as the amount of things it's doing is not the same. And yes, the Zoom B6 does sometimes limit, you know, sometimes you can only get 3 effects on there if you use 3 big effects that's taking up 2 effects blocks. But you still always have your DI types, you still always have your looper and all that other stuff. So as well as a master EQ is always running as well. And it's a DI box and everything else. So you get all that in one, something, all those different things. Like, you know, it has a Noble emulation. It has a red DI or Ready, whatever, red DI, the big red tube box. It has one emulation of that as well. So with all these things in mind you got tuner, you got literally everything you need within this one box and access to it while you're live. Compared to when you're using a pedal board, it's a lot of, it's one, more than likely, say I'm using individual effects, like I'm getting like a Poly Blue or OC5, it's going to be difficult for most people just getting in the game to afford all of that at once. Like, oh, I need to get me an OC5, need to get me a Blurst and everything else at once. That's a lot of money. So it's going to take you longer to get, you know, all the effects that you might want to assemble. That's why in the beginning, I recommend you find a nice multi-effects unit that you like. You know, find something. I personally like Zoom stuff. It's easy to use, but other people like Line 6. They like Boss multi-effects units. You know, but you know, I can personally vouch for Zoom as being reliable and sounds good and translates well when you run it through a live big PA system as well. So, you know, but these days, you know, you can kind of have a compromise too, like I have here. I have multi-effects units organized into a pedal board, and that's really convenient as well. So this allows me to have a ton of effects with just a few pedals. Like literally almost only one that's not a multi-effects pedal on here, or what I consider a multi-effects pedal, would be the Electro Harmonics Deep Freeze right here. But the Zoom, of course, the multi-stomps are multi-effects, but the Source Audio pedals are kind of like multi-effects too. Not kind of, like they are multi-effects. So turn this on. What is that? Never experienced that before. Oosh. So, you get an octaver in there, you get distortion, you get filters, you get a sequencer, you get an enveloper. What else you get in there? You get an EQ section. It's that's an amazing little pedal. But you also with the Atlas, what people don't realize, you get dual compressors, different types of compressors, multiple types of. So you don't just get a compressor, you get like an expander, you get a limiter, you get EQ, and you get to save different presets with both of these pedals, the Source Audio pedals. And then the Tone X1, which you was hearing there, was my color box tone model, which will be available to you guys as well. Like I said, all my presets and stuff coming out. Just give me a couple more days, and we're almost there. I have presets for all my multi-effects going to be available, including the Tone X, the Zoom pedals, the Atlas, and the C4. These are going to be available. These two are going to take me a little longer because I just got these not too long ago. But all the Zoom, Tone X1, all the stuff is going to be available. So that's coming at you. Stay tuned. But the Tone X1 is also a multi-effects pedal. So it has the actual tone models. The tone models can be multiple effects. It can be a distortion running into a preamp, running into an amp stack, and all of that to be on one thing. So that's a bunch of effects technically on at once. But besides that, it also has a compressor, a noise gate, and reverb and EQ. So you get like almost like an entire little mini rig in here in this little small footprint. So this is also a multi-effects pedal in my opinion. Plus you can swap out stuff, and you just have availability. The availability of effects on this little small things is crazy. Especially when the other one was like you could fit a bunch of these inside the other one. The other one was way bigger. The original Tone X pedal is way bigger than this. And what else we got here? So those are the different types of like multi-effects units I kind of use. But like I said, this board would be an example of combining multi effects into one pedal board, kind of efficiently. You got 6 effects here, so 6, 7. And I don't know how many effects in here. Let's just say, let's just go with 6. Let's say this is 6 different effects. Because this has such a variety of distortions and filters and the actual synth section. Then you got octavers in there and then everything else. So, but you can only use a limited amount at a time. So I say it's about 4 or 5 effects. Let's go with 5. Let's go with 5. So 7, 12, and then we got this thing got EQ too. I forgot to say that. The Tone X1 has EQ as well. So it's got a amp model. Let's just say amp modeler, IR, right? You got EQ, compression, noise gate, and reverb in there. So that's another 6 effects. So that's 18. And let's count this as three different effects because that's typically what you would be running on here. But it does have a noise gate as well on there. Then, so 1, 2, let's count that as 2, 3. Let's count that as 3. So we had what, 21 plus another 6, 27. So this little pedal board is 27 effects at a time. So even while you're building various effects, multi-effects units, you can take multiple multi-effects units and make a great pedal board. I think that's always a great idea. What's going on, RC? I see you in the morning, bro. Look forward. It'll be our first time playing together. Looking forward to it, bro. For those of you on YouTube and Twitch, make sure y'all subscribe, like, and share. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all hit that like button. You know what I'm saying? You know, we got to hack the algorithm, you know, as well as we on that Cash App. You know, you hit that Cash App whenever you feel like it. You know, super thanks, super chat, all that stuff. We taking dollars, $2, $3. You ain't got to do much. You know, a little tip if it help you out. But we rocking and rolling today, guys. So having the separate pedals is, so right off the back, this is where we at so far. Multiple effects units are going to be cheaper for you if you use less effects. So you don't really need separate effects if you're not an effects guy. You just need some tone stuff. Like in my B6, I have like this Ampeg rig. So for my rock gigs, when I was doing a rock like musical not too long ago at the Shakespeare Theater in DC, you know, I needed that Ampeg sound, but I didn't want to leave my pedal board there. It was a long run, and I didn't want to leave my pedal board, so I left my B6 there for like 2 months. I just left it there at the theater, so when I come in, I just plug into it. It's got all my rigs, and I can just flip back and forth. I had them organized into, see if they still in the same bank all together. Yes, they are. So I could go from my SVT. So the SVT, then I had my B15 rig right there. And what these rigs consist of is volume pedal, compressor, 160 compressor, the DBX 160A rack emulation, then a flip top, and then an IR. So that's what all these pretty much consist of. You know, that's all I really needed was my bass sound, and I needed different rig sounds for that gig because of the type of songs. You know, one song was more of a SVT type rock type song, other one to be a flip top like this, like Motown or, you know, type stuff. And I actually was using this one for more of the, let me adjust this volume real quick. I would actually push this a little bit more. If I wanted to rock, like when I needed more distortion, I would just add more gain to the amp. get you right there. Another thing I did on my B6, just a little B6 tip if you're a B6 user, I turned off the autosave because when I would make stuff for certain gigs or whatever the case, I got tired of messing up my presets. Once you on there, let me know if it's working okay on Facebook. I don't know, keep talking about some slow connection. I need to know if I need to restart it or something or fix something. Let me know if it's coming through clear with the audio too, as well as on YouTube and Twitch. Let me know audio, if everything's straight. But if you're on Facebook, you can head over to YouTube at the Bass Nagus if you want to get the nice view and all that stuff and see the pedal board and everything else, the camera and stuff right here. But all that's going to YouTube. So then I have my nice Aguilar rig right there. And then you got nice Mark bass, if I needed to slap or something. So, you got different rigs or different things just lined up right there. Ampeg 810 on there, So, I got a ton of different rigs just already built. Tons of synths and everything built already in the B6. Pedal boards. Like, if I just want to use it as a straight up pedal board, I have things built for that, like this is the gig board here. And it's got like an octavert, distortion, and all this different stuff on here. Let me see. If I engage the entire pedal board. Well, it's a virtual pedal board, really. It's multi-effects unit, but See, you'll start calling it a pedal board after a while because it literally is kind of like having a virtual pedal board. It's just you're not carrying nothing but this one. It's not little, but it's about the size of a laptop, like folded up. Like if you close your laptop screen, that's about the size of a P6. And that's because they gotta have some room for all this stuff. You got effects loops, you got DI box, you got you can remote, Bluetooth use remote control it and all this other stuff. They gotta have room for this. Plus they running at 24-bit with 32-bit conversion and 88.6 kilohertz. I know all this stuff just sounds like technical jargon or whatever the case, but when you start looking into multi-effects units and understanding how things, just like the computer, how things are being processed, how much effort it takes to process it, this and that. So you start to, pay attention to that, because when you're looking at them, you can't tell that this B6 is half the sound quality of, this MS60B Plus is half the sound quality technically on paper of the B6, it still sounds really good, but the B6 just sounds a lot cleaner and more detailed. So that's the only thing about multi-effects units. You can get doped into getting a crappy unit. Like, I'm not even gonna start naming because I might want to work with certain people later, but I've already, y'all, if you following me long enough, you know which units I don't like. You know, it ain't but a few of them. Most effects pedals I like. But all right, so but to build this same chain, right? So let's just pick out a few pedals on the actual pedal board that would emulate this same thing, you know. Right, it's an octave down. Right? Why is it so? But so we got filter, so you got octave, so poly blue. You know, OC5 run you can find one of those. If we let's just say you're buying everything used. Let's just say if we were just going with the used prices for the pedal board, for this same pedal board, an octave, an overdrive, a vibrato and a chorus, and a envelope filter. All right, so the equivalent in single pedals would probably be something like, and this OC5, that's about, I think those are about $150 brand new. So you can probably catch one for about 100. You can take like the MXR bass envelope filter, this one, and that's about $150, right? We trying to keep the budget down, you know what I'm saying? You buy one used for about 80, 90. So what we looking at? 100, let's say a hundo, 80. That's 180. What else we need? An overdrive pedal. Let's see. Fun fact, I've never actually bought a separate overdrive, distortion, or fuzz pedal. I've always used multi-effects units for that. As well as modulations. I don't buy separate modulations either. I just use multi-effects units for modulations and octavers. Not octavers. What did I just say? Modulations and distortions and overdrives, that type of thing. I use multi-effects units for that stuff. But that's just me personally. I got to find some way to keep my rig down, size-wise. But on average, these look like you could buy a cheap one, but I never recommend just buying stuff cheap just for the sake of it being cheap. You kind of want to get something that sounds really good that's going to work. You know what I'm saying? What's going on? Appreciate y'all hanging out with me on Facebook. Fam always come through on Facebook. I appreciate y'all. If you want to see the full view, head over to YouTube at the Bass Niggas. But so you're looking at about another 100 for something reasonable that, you know, and that's not an expensive overdrive pedal. We just need one though. So we're looking at 280. We're already at 280. We already halfway to a B6. What else we needed? 2 modulation pedals. Say you did like how much are these TC electronic pedals? What's that joint called? Vibrato. Yeah, the shaker. That's a good one. So you can get something like the shaker from TC Electronic. That's a really good vibrato pedal. That's actually one of my favorites. I actually, some point, might grab one. But those are running about $139. Used about $80. You know. So you're getting up there already. You know what I'm saying? And mind you, these just do that one thing. Like a B6 is going to allow you to swap these out for different effects, have multiple of these effects, and all this good stuff. So we already at what, 360? And we still need a chorus pedal. Let's see. You probably get the TC Electronic Corona chorus or tri-chorus for about $80 used. So you throw another 80 on there. Now you at what, 440? And the envelope filter. Oh, we already did it. For you at about 440 for that one setup that you just made a patch for in a B6. So in a way, and you still don't have a DI box, and you still don't have an external effects loop to run stuff if you wanted to. You still, and you're very locked into. I mean, you're not locked into one particular sound. That's a pretty versatile setup, actually. It's pretty dope setup. But, you're nowhere near as flexible as having a B6 on hand, especially because you can just have everything set up. You can be mixing, matching stuff. You can be experimenting, moving effects around in different orders. You can have a ton of different patches, presets set up. And even in a Zoom MS60B, if you're really on a budget and you only can buy one pedal, right? And if you're not pressed about analog, if you can only buy one analog pedal, I would say Empress. Just get your Empress compressor. It's going to change everything. But if you want something that does everything, that you need for that 160, what is it, 140? 140. MS60B Plus. It's an amazing pedal. So, and it replaces like that all those different pedals on the pedal board. I know it is nice having all this stuff. I'm very appreciative to have all this stuff. Trust me. But when you gotta have gear that matches. Sometimes every gig ain't a stadium gig, ain't a high paying gig, or you just don't want to risk stuff. It might be raining, don't do all this other stuff. Weird stuff be happening, bro, at gigs. You might have to play a festival and it might be raining that day. You think I'm taking this out? You think I'm taking all these pedals out there in the rain? I still have to go to that gig and I still have to set up, and I might, it might not be rain. It might have rain later or something. Anything can happen, or anything, people walking around with their drinks and stuff, if they spill it on my B6, I'm still going to be mad. I'm going to be hot. I ain't going to lie to you. But I'm not out of as much money as, if anything happens, as all of these pedals, combined, because, you can do your own Googles and math on that. But, so a lot of the pros and cons coming into it are going to be pedalboard wins when it comes to versatility. Like this B6 is not as versatile as a pedalboard that you have unlimited pedals. You can swap out stuff. Nobody got unlimited pedals, but you can literally buy a new octave section. You can, or a new part, a new effect, new sound for your octave section. Compared to most multi-effects units, pretty much what it comes with is pretty much what you're going to be stuck with. You know what I'm saying? Using, and a lot of times that's where they fall short. A lot of times is in the octave section for bass players. They never sound as good. I'll give you a good example. Okay, let's take this stuff off. So this is just a polyphonic octaver here. And mind you, the Zoom ones actually are really good. These, when they updated them, they made them pretty good with the tracking. But here's a little bit of the Zoom B6 bass poly shift. It's just an octave down. And they do have an OC2 sound in here. Let me change this to that. The bass, what's it called? Bass analog octave. You know, you just turn that octave down, up, turn everything else off. Now let's compare that to the OC5. Let's compare that to the OC5 here. And what we do, the octave down. Just octave down on So they actually kind of nailed that sound. Actually kind of nailed that one. Hold on. Here we go. We gotta do that one more time. That's really close. I didn't think it was gonna be that close. It kind of threw off my plane. Zoom said, I got you. Hey, it kind of threw off my plane. I think I might actually like that Zoom one a little more right there. But, you know, point being that if I wanted the other part of that pedal, which is of the, you know, updated part of the OC5, where I have the poly octave, things like this, I can't do with any of these octavers. And this is when you would need individual pedals. When you start finding gaps of stuff that you need that's not available to you on the multi-effects unit, such as this feature of the OC5, which allows me to play chordal stuff, separating the with the octave down only, triggering on the lower notes. So if I play here, it sounds, but if I play here, no octave down, just the octave up. So, you know, you got that. So that's when you start buying the individual pedals. You know, that's what I would recommend. You know, start with the multi-effects units. Then as you find gaps of things of like that, you want that type of ability. You can't get that from a multi-effects unit yet. You know what I'm saying? But, or even, like, say you didn't want that OC2 sound, because a lot of multi-effects units will give you that OC2 sound, but they won't give you this poly blue sound. So It's like immediately when I heard that poly blue sound, I had to have that on my pedal board. Or, even on the polyphonic side, it actually is pretty. The Zoom B6 actually has an effect that's close to that. That's what I'm saying. You'll find areas where it overlaps, but you'll also, as you use effects more, you'll find like there's certain things that multi-effects units cannot do yet, like that OC5 sound, things like what the Poly Blue can do where you got all these different octaves yet. Well, this actually, the C4 actually allows you to have different octaves, but they don't track as well. They don't track nowhere near as well as the Poly Blue and the Hog 2. Granted, the Hog 2 is like the king of octavers. Even with that new joint, that Pog 3 is amazing, but it costs too much. It costs way too much. But they need to come out with a Hog 3 and do all that stuff. And the Hog 3, that would be worth that bread they trying to ask you for. But the stuff I can do with the Hog Poly Blue and the Hog 2. So, right? Yeah, but you come over to the Hog 2. Let me see. The stuff you can do with a Hog 2 is just bananas. Like it's something that multi-effects units just have not caught up to yet. But Hog 2 is going to cost you as much as a multi-effects unit, like as a B6. You know what I'm saying? It's going to cost you just as much. So you got to find and pick your battles, what you want. Figure out where you at in the game. You know what I'm saying? If you're just starting out into effects, you don't really need 50,000 pedals at once. It's tempting to buy them, but trust me, if you can't work a multi-effects unit and you can't make a multi-effects unit sound good, all the pedals are going to do is confuse you. And not only that, but it's going to limit the amount of experimentation you can do. I started out with a Zoom B3, and that's let me see my first pedal. What was my first pedal? I think my first pedal, it was either the MXR bass envelope filter or the Eden WTDI. I know the Eden WTDI is the first effects review pedal first review of any pedal I did. But I love the Hog 2 so much. I be doing stuff like adding the OC5 and the Hog 2 together. Little filter action in there. The stuff you could do with effects is crazy. First of all, I love effects. Let's just say that much. They like Pokemon. You got to catch them all, get them all. I love them. But the functionality and stuff is one thing. So like practically, when or just speaking like on a regular gig, I'm not gonna be using sounds like that. I'm a bass player. Like on a regular gig, I'm not. On my solo stuff, yes. On my band stuff, yes. But typically when other people call me, when I'm playing at church or doing different events, I'm typically playing bass. So like just having like that bass analog octave in the B6 and that poly shift, the polyphonic shifter in the octave in there definitely help. But it doesn't mean I have to, I'm just not going to be using all of this on the majority of gigs. And it's just, for most stuff, it's overkill to bring all this. When you could just grab this little thing here, and they're light too. They ain't even heavy. They real light. You can grab this, throw it in your gig bag. Or even something like an Ampeg SGT DI is kind of like a multi-effects unit by itself. It's got IRs. It's got multiple preamps. It's got an EQ. It's got filters, EQ filters, voicing filters where you can boost or cut the bass and you can boost the treble. Then you also got a compressor on there. You just don't get a variety of compressors. You got one optical compressor at 10-to-1 ratio. I think the threshold kicks in too fast, but that's just me. But yeah, I would say, if you're just starting out, a multi-effects unit will be much better for you than a pedal board, or trying to get into a cheaper pedal board. Before you go buy all these cheap effects that you can't resell for any price, like think about the resale value. This is the other thing. Pedals are going to hold better resale values than multi-effects units typically, because they don't get outdated as fast. A pedal from the from the 80s or 90s is going to like a individual pedal like these are going to cost more. They're going to be expensive because they don't make them no more. But nobody checking for old Zoom units like that. You know what I'm saying? Like where they can charge more than they pay for them. Like nah, they're not collector's items like that. So that's something else to think about. But so I wouldn't buy a bunch of cheap pedals like. And then throw them on a pedal board and say, hey, yeah, it's one that's not going to sound as good as you think it is. But you might as well, by the time you do all of that and fiddle around with cables and everything else that if you're a beginner, you really don't know how to do, the multi-effects unit is just going to be way better of an option. Most people have a phone or an app, an iPad or a tablet or a laptop or something. So the multi-effects units will typically let you edit on one of those. You don't even have to edit on the pedal no more. Depending on which pedal you get, you don't even have to use a USB cable no more. It's just straight Bluetooth. You know what I'm saying? And you fiddle faddling. You know what I'm saying? You're in there. But compared to, but like I said, they're going to have their limitations. But when you reach that limit, you're at a point where you need to start buying individual pedals. You know what I'm saying? And that means your skills of using effects, and more than likely your playing ability will be at a level where it'll make sense to be throwing down thousands of dollars to do for sound. You know what I'm saying? But if you just playing every once in a while, just a hobby, ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that at all. Ain't no reason to go and spend $1 million on stuff. It's just not necessarily. I'm writing stuff off. You know what I'm saying? This is my job. This is what I do for a living. So this stuff I pay for, but technically I don't. My business pays for it. You know what I'm saying? So that's a different ball game though. So, the pricier option would be for when you are more so ready to handle that. But a multi-effects unit will do you just fine. And then you can experiment all you want, moving effects orders around a lot easier. It's just going to make your life easier. But when you get to that point, and this is the difference, when you get to that point where the multi-effects unit can't do everything you need it to do. Meaning like you need certain functionality of effects that you can't get out of the multi-effects unit by itself. Or, because you can use it in conjunction with a regular pedal board like I do here. Like I run, all the setup runs into my Zoom B6, and then my Zoom B6 runs into actually another audio interface, a mixer rather, for everything else. And it also splits it up into my amps in the room for me. So, you can use everything in conjunction. Like all the stuff you see here is linked together in some way, shape, or form, meaning I literally can run all these pedals and effects at once if I really wanted to. But it's not really necessary. So, it's... But when I want to, having these options of multi-effects units, that's just the Hog 2 and the Zoom MS70 CDR Plus. So you can make a pedal board with just 2 pedals now. Like literally, if you took a Hog 2 and an MS70 CDR Plus, you can do you can literally do the majority of sounds you would ever need. Like you can do a ton of different sounds with that setup there. And it's even got EQ in there and everything else. So definitely like weigh your options, really kind of think about what it is that you need in a setup. And over time, understand that over time you're going to be just buying more stuff anyway. Let's just be real. Over time, you're going to buy more stuff. You're going to buy more pedals. It is what it is. And ain't nothing wrong with that, because that's what we do. We play bass, right? You know what I'm saying? We play bass and we buy pedals. That's why we here. This is all bass creations, effects, tutorials, demos, and review. Make sure y'all subscribe, like, and share, I appreciate y'all hitting that like button. As well as, don't forget about that Cash App if this information is useful to you. Cash App, super thanks, we in there. I appreciate all y'all hanging with me so far over on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook. I couldn't get my GoPro up and running today. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to have to contact them, see what's going on. But yeah. So you can choose to go either route and mix and match. Keep in mind, as you're buying stuff, like, I know it's your first pedal, so it's kind of like you don't know what to do yet. But if you're a beginner, you know what I'm saying? Or not even just a beginner, because there's a lot of professionals that really not into pedals like that, and they're just getting into pedals. I was a complete professional before I was getting into pedals. Like, so I had been gigging with just my bass and amp for years. Like, you don't listen. We get it done. You got my paper? I'll be there, and I'll be there on time. Right. So, but you can do things like you can make, the technology today just allows you to do crazy stuff like I'm doing with this. Like, this little pedal board is so powerful, and it's only 6 effects, but it's a multi-effects units, except for the deep freeze. Like, all of these are just multi-effects units. I can have multiple of everything. And, for a regular gig, like I said, I don't need all the functionality of the stuff I need for the studio work, like the Hog 2. On the records and stuff I can't compromise at all. I don't want to give like no emulation of the OC2 the Boss Octaver sound, but I can just get a Boss Octaver. Like I said, if you're at that point where you're like, you're making money from your music and things like that, or you just gigging enough, you doing a record, it's going down forever. You feel me? So you want to have something that you want to have that exact sound that's in your head to put down there. So that's another reason why I do individual pedals still. There's certain sounds I get with the Hog 2 I'm not going to get with these multi-effects units or with the OC5 or the Poly Blue, But you see, I have those 3 in particular because of those sounds. But I don't really... The other octavers I've heard, like the TC... I'm not going to stop naming. Don't do that. Have me up here again, getting put off stuff I ain't even on yet. Y'all ain't getting me put off and I ain't even on yet. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? But it's certain other octavers that I didn't really like the sound of, so I didn't get them. It's not that I haven't ran. These are the octavers that sound the way. And on your basic gig, I can get away with using whatever's on the B6. So I wouldn't, if you can't afford like all these new pedals that come out, or all this new stuff, I would just get you something like one of the Monty Stomps. And that'll suffice. But when you find, the reason I keep reiterating this, because a lot of beginners made this mistake, just buying gear you don't even know how to use. You ain't even ready for yet. You could have just, if you buy too much gear, sometimes what's the phrase, paralysis by options or something. I don't know, something like that. Pretty much when you got too many options, sometimes it can paralyze you or make you not be able to make a timely decision and informed decision, because you got so many options that you just kind of just threw yourself off. And I've seen it. Like I see, especially, I'm not even gonna get into it. It's not really the bass players I see doing this. I'm proud of y'all. Proud of y'all as a community. It's everybody else. It's all the other musicians. Yeah, they always try to make it like bass players ain't the cool. We the cool ones anyway. We don't do all that. We the keyboard players. 50,000 keyboards. Still transposing. Let's go. But also analog stuff. Like analog, they don't make analog multi-effects units. I mean, I'm sure they've made an analog multi-effects unit. I'm not going to say that. But I'm sure it's just probably expensive as a mug. But, yeah, if you need the analog sound, like my blurs, I need that analog filter, like... You gotta have that analog warmth, the analog goodness right there. So, you know, and that's actually the blurs running into the Color Box V2 running into the Empress bass compressor. But that warmth right there, did you feel how warm? It's just funk, nasty, analog stuff. It just analog just hit different, bro. Like it's expensive. It's expensive. It's expensive. But it's like when you get the plan, you be like, I mean, I'ma buy it. I'ma buy it though. Let me go back. I was gonna get this digital joint, but I'm trying. That's the only drawback when you get to buying pedals. It make you smile, and then stuff to make you smile, make you want to buy it, and then it's just like I didn't have it $300 for this, but I got it for this today. Let's go. It be like that sometimes, you know what I'm saying? You start adding that with an octave, yo. What? Man, get off of there. See, stuff like that, it just, first of all, that's a fat sound. But that's an expensive sound. Like, it's just, analog stuff is, it's like when when you really start to think about it, it's like when you're buying analog pedals, like you're literally paying for expensive sounds. Like in music gear in general, paying for expensive sound. Like you're paying for that sound to be so good that it touches your soul. It touches your soul. It's because you're right here, nice and warm. You're like, ah. I'm trying to tell you, the first time I heard the color box and the first time I heard the SDT running into the color box, let me see if I can get this sound again, because it's one particular sound I haven't been able to get back to. I don't know what I did that day, but it was I know it was the color. It was the SDT, and I think I had it set like this, running into the color box into the Empress. I think this is. Let's see, I think this is. I think I had on. And this is the other thing. See, right there. Let me stop. This is a very important point. With the individual pedals and analog stuff, you gotta remember your settings, bro. You'll mess around and find your holy grail of tones and forget your settings, cause you be going through so many different settings and stuff. Like I'm constantly, reviewing pedals and doing stuff like that. So, I like to come on, straighten up for me. So I have to remember these sounds. Like I've literally take pictures of my settings sometimes. Like when I'm creating the IRs of all the cabinets in this room that I'll be selling to you guys, you know what I'm saying? All my IRs are gonna be available too. Excuse me. In addition to all the preamps that I use, all 11 preamps, I think it's 12, 11 or 12 preamps. I think it's like 7 or 8 cabinets. I think it's about 6 different mics. All the stuff gonna be available to you guys. Oh, we in now. But and make sure y'all subscribe, like, and share. Hit that subscribe, like, and share button. If you're on Facebook, you can head over to YouTube at the Bass Niggas and find out over there. But you gotta remember those settings, and that be blowing you sometimes because you be having you got different sounds that you want to use the pedal for, but so the blurs, I keep it in that setting. It's on right now because if I change it, I might forget it. And that's actually my most useful and favorite sound from there. And I mean, that sound pretty much works for everything that I want to do with that anyway. But if I tweak it, I pretty much put it right back. Like I'll literally do a recording and put my settings right back to where they were. So I don't forget. Let me do this right now while I remember what I had on here. Because you can't save it. And this is why as a somebody that might be just getting into effects, it doesn't matter if you're a pro. Now, if you're just getting into effects, it's going to be easier for you to do multi-effects units because you can just save your presets. You can do all that work, tailor your sound, save it. Not only save it, you can have all your sounds on different orders for set lists. You can do all this different stuff you can't do for individual pedals. Like if I want to change from mono to polyphonic on here, I have to press that button. And then if I wanted a different sound on the MXR for a different song that's on the set list, I'd have to tweak that to get that sound, and then so forth and so on. And then you can imagine if you have pedal chains of 5-6 effects at a time, that becomes cumbersome, especially in the middle of a show. You got to keep bending down trying to fix these different sounds and get to that sound you had at the house. Like that don't that blow y'all? Let me leave a leave a thumbs up in the comment section if that blow you when you can't get the sound from the house to the gig. That is like the musician plight of our life, getting the sound from the crib to the stage, bro. I'm gonna do a whole series on that, how to get your sound from the house to the stage, because it is something that took me years to kind of get a real grasp on, and kind of, you know, I like to think I have it mastered, but who knows, you know, getting that sound that you hear in your head and that you might even be able to get at home, taking that, especially when you got amps involved. Like, how do you get that amp to sound how it sounds at your house in other arenas or other places, you know? It's a very difficult task. It's not difficult, matter of fact. I'm not going to say it's difficult. You have to have the proper knowledge and, you know, have to have the proper experience with your gear. I always recommend, you know, don't switch gear all the time. Like, don't like, if you like, or at least don't get rid of gear all the time. Like, don't you just be buying stuff either. But I would say give each piece of gear some real time for you to learn it and develop and master it, so you don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know these filters. I know my sweet spots. Like, it ain't like, yes, I had to memorize all the settings and stuff like that, yes, but I've been using these same pedals for years, so I know the settings. Like, I know them. So, you know, that's the other thing. Like I said, you know, you gotta work with your settings. You gotta work with learn your gear. But if you get a multi-effects pedal, kind of squashes that out. You know, this is a real. You know, when I decided to do this topic today, I hadn't, you know, I thought about it, but, you know, I didn't really. As I talk about it more, it's like it's some real stuff that you got to make a decision on if you're going to go with a pedal board or a actual multi-effects unit. You know, there's a lot of compromise there. Do you have a particular sound in mind? Like, if you know you only want an OC2 sound for your Octaver, then you're going to be better off just getting the OC5 or OC3 and using that. Or, I mean, as you heard, the B6 one didn't sound bad, you know, but I just feel like the individual pedals do a better job at being octavers than multi-effects units at the moment. As a bass player, that's going to be important. So find your octaver sound, right? If you, well, let's just do this. Let's do this. If you're going to put together a pedal board and you don't want to spend a ton of money or overspend or spend around the five, let's say we got the 500, you know what I'm saying? We got the 500 in there. Find you some used stuff. Used stuff is going to be about 60% of the price. And it typically works. Like, you know, for the most part, musicians aren't jumping on their gear or throwing it around like that. I mean, it's going to have some wear and tear on it, but a lot of musicians actually take decent care of their pedals, you know. Pedal connoisseurs, we're a snobby bunch, you know. Nah, but we definitely don't, we definitely are part of the gear snob, a little bit crew, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to pedals and stuff. But yeah, get the exact octaver sound you want. Get the exact I mean, that's kind of hard. How do you do that? How do you get something that you've never used before? Like, if you never had an OC5 in your hand, the videos do not do it justice. The videos don't do the poly blue justice. You know, so it's a weird thing. But I mean, these days you got Amazon, so hey, what's going on? Appreciate you dropping by as usual. But there are so many options. I would say, okay, go with the YouTube videos first. Check those out. But then when you go and you're going to buy, and if you can't go to a music store, go to Amazon, get it, try it out. They got free returns. Send that thing back if you don't like it. I mean, that's my best advice, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to individual pedals. Because that's pretty much all you can do if you're going to order it. You know what I'm saying? You got to have it in your hand to know if that's really going to work ultimately. Videos will get you part of the way there. Like if I do this sound right now, let me do my bass adjustments. Right? That's doesn't do you justice the same way. Oh, 414 over there in France. I appreciate you hanging with me. I appreciate what you up about to work out? You going to work? What you doing up this early? 4:14 a.m. in France, and you hanging out with me. I appreciate that so much. You know, that sound versus, let's do, I actually like on the OC5, just a little tip, I actually like the polyphonic side of the octave down a lot more than the vintage one. Oh, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, I definitely trying to come up with some topics that you guys would be useful to you guys beyond just, oh, here's this new pedal that came out that's gonna cost you more money. You know, I'm trying to, I would rather help you guys, learn how to use some stuff you might already have, or just, maybe even be appreciative a little bit more of what you have. Sometimes we always want more. You don't always need more. Sometimes you gotta use what you got, bro, and that's fine. Well, I definitely appreciate you, Lori. Appreciate you. Oh my goodness. But yeah. So try them out and figure out what sounds you want. Like, I know I can't, on that OC5 I have that sound, but on the Hog 2 for my synth sound, I go with more of this setting. Well, I got a few settings for it. So here's the first one. So I can get that whammy type stuff, with the octave bends. So, you can get all those different sounds out that Hog too, boy. I'm trying to tell you. Okay. Oh yeah, I definitely highly recommend the Blur's pedal. That's definitely, if that is a extremely undervalued pedal there. Someone asked would I recommend the blurs, the E electro harmonics blurs, this pink that yep, I definitely would, and I recommend you get the foot pedal, expression pedal with it as well. That's gonna be a huge part of the sound. That's the blurs. That's just the blurs. The blurs, you can use it like a wah-wah pedal. You just got to get the expression pedal. But yeah, that's one of those things. Filters is one of those things where you find different sounds that are hard to emulate, like that bass balls. That's hard for somebody to put into a multi-effects unit, so you're not gonna find it there. You gotta go. Even still, like I had the Spectrum. This C4 has a ton of filters in it too, but it'll get you close, but it ain't gonna be that sound. It ain't gonna be that exact blur sound. And a lot of pedals emulate this bass envelope filter by MXR, but it don't sound the same. It don't sound the same. It don't feel the same when you're in person, and that's the thing. Like sometimes it's difficult to get stuff to translate on the records as well. It's already because they're gonna step on it so much, and they're gonna do so much editing and this and that to it that it's like, in a way, it's like it's hard to even keep recommending analog stuff other than when you hear it in person. It's different. For live stuff, analog stuff be crazy, especially when you crank it up to a big system. The analog goodness come through so warm, and it's different. It hit different, but it's like it depends. Like it's because a lot of everybody you don't get the best sound engineers all the time. Just like you don't always get the best studio engineers. Sometimes your game be off too. That's life. Sometimes I'm off. That's life. But that analog stuff, you trying to get it to translate on the record sometimes, and then they go and squash on it. Like they going over process it with all this digital crap. So like, but yeah, it is what it is, man. God. Over on Twitch, what's going on? No, I can't do covers on lives because they'll demonetize my stuff. I'm also streaming to YouTube and Facebook, but they'll demonetize my video if I do covers, guys. That's one of the reasons why you don't hear me doing I actually have quite a few bass covers I would love to do for you guys, but they just demonetize your video. And I'm not really, I gotta make some money from one way or another, But and I can cover a topic on how to learn songs quickly, if that's something you want to do, because I don't have perfect pitch, but I've developed my own system for everything that I need to do as a professional. So I got an actual improvisation course coming and a bass techniques course coming, guys. I just got new cameras and stuff. That's what you're watching me through now. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to be able to shoot it in 4K. Hopefully get that all put together for you guys. But, yeah. So, all right. Let's do a quick recap for everybody just hopping in here. We pretty much been talking about the pros and cons of multi-effects units. Of course, multi-effects units are going to be more cost-effective than individual pedals or pedal boards. But they're going to be limited in what effects are in there, and they're usually not going to have every single like your it's not going to always have your favorite effects. Like these filters are my favorite effects. These octavers are my favorite effects. As you can see, I only have 3 octavers. I only have 3 filters. That's on purpose. That's not. I got plenty of preamps. I don't even have all my preamps up here, but on the floor I also have some synth stuff as well. Like the Key 9 and the Male 9, they don't have those in multi-effects units like this. This sound right here is one of them. Let me see. Oh, not that sound. That ain't the sound. Like that sound, you're not getting that out of a multi-effects unit. But I tell you what, a multi-effects unit will come in handy in conjunction with it. So it's just like you gotta pick which one. I would say get the multi-effects units first, and then get something like that, because it's gonna allow you to do this next step. Because you gotta remember, when you're buying it, okay, that's the sound originally, but you're gonna need more than just that. Like that, that's cool and all, right? That's cool, but then you add a multi-effects unit. I'm gonna add this MS70 CDR Plus. Let me take off this analog. The Empress compressor is a cheat. You gotta turn that off. That's cheating. That's cheating. We don't need this filter right now. There we go. Let's get some more volume here. There we go. Let's bring that back. How many effects we got on here? So all that was me adding some swell in there, adding some volume swell, and then running that to the Key 9, and then running that to the MS60R, MS70 CDR Plus. So very, very simple. Very simple. I had the expression, but yeah, you can use that same expression pedal from the Hog 2 for the blurs, but I would recommend getting a separate one because it's gonna at some point you might want to use them in conjunction together, or get a dual one. If you get a dual one from Source Audio, you can actually control the Hog 2 and the blurs at the same time, which is fire. That's fire. That's a fire option. Make sure y'all subscribe, like, and share too. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. You know what I'm saying? Y'all my folks. I appreciate y'all hanging there with me. As well as you can hit the Cash App if you feeling generous and you feeling like this is useful to you. I don't want you to donate to nothing that ain't useful to you. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you though. But yeah, so like sounds like that you're not getting out of multi-effects units. The Mel 9, some of the organ sounds you can get close to with a multi-effects unit, but the electro-harmonic stuff is crazy. Like that whole 9 series is crazy. All the 9 series pedals is bananas. So things like the Ravish Sitar or the Iron Lung vocoder or the V256 vocoder. I have the V250, the big orange one down here in V256. You're not going to get all that functionality out of it, but you're not going to get all those sounds. So if you're just using like preamps and IRs, like speaker emulation, stuff like that, and you just need if you need that variety of stuff, or you don't have any effects, just get a multi-effects unit to get you in the game. Cause like all this stuff at once is just gonna be too overwhelming. But over time, you catch them, and you experiment over time with different effects, and then you find out, okay, I need more of this type of sound. Like I knew I didn't need a whole bunch of distortion pedals because I had a multi-effects unit, and I played for all the distortions. I found a lot that I liked, as well as modulations. Found a lot of modulations I liked, and I still love to this day, and I use to this day. And it kept me from buying a whole bunch of modulation pedals and distortion pedals, because the ones I hear and see don't really do anything that I don't have access to already with multi-effects units. You see what I'm saying? You see how I say if you do it first, you'll learn what you need more of. Like I knew I wanted those 9 series, like that Key 9, that Mel 9 sound. I knew I couldn't get them I know how to get them without those pedals. But that's another video. It's actually a way to get all those 9 series sounds without buying those pedals, but you'd have to buy a bunch of other pedals and use them in conjunction. So, I actually can get close with multi-effects units and a few other pedals. But, yeah. I say definitely. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to see if there's any other. Because it was. Make sure I covered everything I wanted to cover. But the main thing, again, is going to be experimenting with the multi-effects unit. Find out where its limitations are, what you're trying to expand out to, because your imagination is limitless. So whatever you're trying to expand out to, that's what you go and buy a pedal for. That's the way I did it, at least. I'm not gonna say that's the only way to do it, but I'm gonna say it saved me from getting a whole bunch of. I would have had a ton of distortion pedals and overdrive and fuzzes and stuff I didn't need because I'd been buying stuff just to try to hear what type of effect I like. But having a multi-effects unit allowed me to find out that I prefer light overdrive to over fuzz, over distortion, and I prefer bit crushers over those two as well. So I prefer warm overdrive and a bit crusher. Those are my two preferences when it comes to distorted type sounds. So now I don't have to spend time trying to go buy distortion pedals and figure out which one, because I know I'm not really into distortion sounds per se. I'm into overdriven sounds, and I'm into that bit crusher sound through experimentation. So, and I found all this stuff out just having a B3, a Zoom B3, like the joint with the 3 on it. The original, before they had the B6, they had the B3, which, mind you, to this day still has some good effects. I still have my original multi-stomps down here on my synth board for various reasons, perform different duties, but yeah, I found out that I love those sounds. And in terms of modulations, you can find out which modulations you like more. There's different types. So some people like chorus more than they like flangers, or like phasers more than they like tremolo or vibrato. You might not even know what any of these sound like. Like, you might not know the difference between a chorus and a flanger and a tremolo. That's what the multi-effects unit will help you do. It's going to give you all of those, allow you to listen to them, play around with them without you having to go buy a separate pedal that you might not even like. You know what I'm saying? The multi-effects unit is always going to come in handy for something. Or, you know what I'm saying? That's the whole purpose of it. It can be a chameleon. It can, like these multi-effect, the multi-stomps, you can just throw them on your pedal board in different places. I got them on here. I got them two more, the originals down there. That's an MS-60B original, MS-50G original. You can just move them around. So that's going to be a tremendous help to you and your learning curve, because then you won't spend so much time fiddling around. You can spend more time playing and less time trying to move pedals around and stuff like that. And you can experiment and find out what sounds you like. And then once you really find it, if you really feel the need to, then you start getting you some individual pedals. But, excuse me. But yes, a multi-effects unit can replace an entire pedal board if you're just doing tones, like standard bass tones, standard guitar tones type stuff. Yes, absolutely. But if you want to get into the fancy and get into the particulars, like I like this filter sound particularly. I like this octave sound particularly. I like this distortion sound particularly. Like, there's a few overdrive pedals I want to try, but I actually got this SGT because I like the nice warm overdrive sound I can get on the B15 side. that's the B15 side. That's the side I prefer. But and this is where I've said, you gotta, when you start getting picky, like I prefer that to this SVT sound. Like this is the SVT one. I prefer that B15 sound. It's warmer. It's just warmer. And I prefer a warm overdrive to, and that's not saying that's pretty warm actually, the SVT. And I probably could use that for some stuff, and I'm not going to say could. I have used it for stuff and I will use it for more stuff. Sometimes I need a brighter, warmer overdrive. But when I need that darker, warm overdrive, that's why I love that B15. So I keep it right there. That JB, when you kick that sucker on, that sucker warm, and especially when you wearing in ears. Oh my goodness, you be like, ooh, you run that J through some IR. It's fire. It's fire. So see what's going on here. Connection this, connection that. And see, somebody was trying to catch my live stream and I missed. See, it happens. Good. I'll make sure, I'm gonna start setting the time, like a schedule for this, so you guys will know when I'll be going live and it won't be such a surprise. I think that'll help gather a community a little bit more, giving you guys an actual meeting time versus, I'm on live now, today, versus, so I'm gonna do that this week, make a schedule. But yeah, also, I prefer, so when you start wanting different amp sounds as well is another reason why you would start adding on to a multi-effects unit. So you get your multi-effects unit, you have your amp models and your speaker cabinets and all that stuff in there. And that'll do you fine. You play around with it, but then, you'll find something like the Gensler Magellan Pre, which isn't available on, it's too new. The newer preamps aren't available a lot of times on the, multi-effects unit. They use a lot of Ampeg, B15, SVT, Aguilar, Tone Hammer, or D750, whatever. Old Galleon Crew. It's all vintage gear, a lot of times on the multi-effects unit. You get like a little Mark bass, but they'll do like a little Mark bass. They won't have an actual full-blown Mark bass amp, you know what I'm saying? Like, and even if they did, it's not the same as, the actual preamp. So I would say in terms of like a B6 or like a big multi-effects unit, you'll have plenty of amp models in there, but at some point you'll probably want more. Like you'll probably want a different preamp sound, or that's when you would grab a nice analog preamp. I can recommend all of these right here: the Magellan, the AG preamp, the Aguilar AG preamp, the Eden WCDI, Ampeg SGT. I recommend all these, but these are all completely different sounds. Like they are completely different sounds, and none of their sounds, except for the SGT, none of these sounds. Well, and the Eden. Actually, Zoom did a good job on the original Zoom B3, on their Eden sound, but they took it off because they're jerks. It's like no. But they took off the Eden sound out the Zoom units. But that was spot on. Their world tour head sounded just like that preamp right there. But Yeah, when you want those different preamp sounds, when you start, saying, "Oh, I want," really, what I would recommend, after you get your multi effects unit, your next one I would recommend being a preamp or something, a preamp, or if you I would say, yeah, you want an analog preamp, and then run that into your IR, in your multi effects unit, or you can, run your multi effects unit before your preamp, like so you could run like if you had, let's just say B6, or you got an HX stomp, whatever, you run that into your preamps, right? So you have your compressors. You can run it into IRs, speaker emulations. You can run effects into it, or you can put it in the effects loop of your multi-effects unit, and then you can move it around like in effects in there, inside the effects chain. So, basically, if you put it in the loop of an effects unit, the other effects unit will typically allow somewhere for you to move that effects loop either before or after effects, or have effects come before and after it, because it's in the effects loop. So it allows you a lot more flexibility, that way. I would say that would be one of the best ways to use your multi effects unit and a separate pedal together. It's not always about. It's not really about replacing your pedal board with your multi effects unit. It's more so about convenience and having variety of sounds. The multi effects unit, like I said, I'm more comfortable taking that and leaving that. Like if I need, like when I had to doing theater gigs, I don't like to break down completely. I just take my bass with me every day. I don't leave my bass anywhere. It's my baby. And I don't leave my bass anywhere. But I'll leave an effects pedal. I'll leave my multi unit. I'll leave the B6 smack, in place, because it doesn't cost as much as if I had all the pedals that I would need to cover that one unit would cost me a lot more money, and it means that I have a lot more money lying around unprotected. When I say unprotected, I mean I'm not there. If I'm not there, it's unprotected, because other people don't care about your gear like that. Like, other people do not care about your stuff the way you care about your stuff. So I wish I would leave my Hog 2. I can't even get another. I don't even think they selling the Hog 2 no more. I can't even get that no more, I don't think. Or if I can, they be in and out of stock sometimes, like from the last time I checked. But, eventually those units are going to be hard to get, or the Blur store or other units, so, yeah. I'm not going to take a chance in ruin my stuff just doing a basic gig, But if it's like a time when I would risk my pedals, okay? When's a good time? When when to. When the money there, all right? When the money there, and I mean it don't have to be serious money. It just needs to be some real decent money, a couple hundred for a gig is not enough for me to risk to thousands of dollars worth of equipment, you know what I'm saying? Of course, I got to take my bass. That costs some money, plenty of money. You know what I'm saying? You got to take your amp. That costs plenty of money. So you already in a few stacks right there. Every piece of gear you take additional to that is additional gear you're risking, but, and not to say that every gig, stuff is going to get broke or something, but it's always a chance, so that's why that's one of the reasons why I invested in a Tone X1. I didn't want to take all my preamps. I wanted all my preamps and like all those preamps plus like my color box and stuff. Like these color boxes aren't cheap. But I can put all that in the Tone X1, which is $179. And if I needed to, you know, something to just, if I was gonna have something to bang around, it would be this little thing. You know, I throw that in my gig bag. I could leave that at a gig, you know, and overnight if I needed to, you know what I'm saying? That might be even better than the B6 in terms of if I just need tones, if I just need my bass tones, I'll just take a Tone X1 and I'll have all my preamps and everything. I got a compressor on there, tuner, you know what I'm saying? I even got some reverb in the noise gate, you know what I'm saying? So I can rock and roll with that. But you don't have to, you know, you got to mitigate your risk a little bit. That's the main reason why I would recommend having some sort of multi-effects. Even if you're a pedal board guy, having some sort of multi-effects unit is going to allow you to just pack up and go a little easier, but it's also going to allow you to risk less money at a time. That's why I don't really prefer, like, I think, and this is just me. Now, if you start getting to get into thousands of dollars for a multi-effects unit, no, I'm just not there. I'm not into the $1,200-$1,500 multi-effects unit. Because for me, I'm like, bro, I could have just got the actual pedals I need for that amount of money. I could have built me an amazing pedal board for $1,200 to $1,500. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to have I don't even understand that. How do you get to that? Like, I understand you got the routing and this and that, but do you really need all that, bro? Like, you really need all that? You really need to be using real pedals because you're really into effects. Like, you know, but I understand, like, a lot of it is the routing options and flexibility of it. Like, you can, like, some of the bigger Line 6 units, you can run two separate parallel paths and of effects and stuff, but it's like, if you're getting that fancy, you probably are pretty particular about your sound. Like, you got to be pretty particular about your sound to want all that processing power and stuff. The singular pedals are going to sound better. It says what it is. But now I will say this. It does help to have everything in one pedal for syncing capacity. So, like, if you needed, like, the delay to match up with the modulation and they all be on beat, a multi-effects unit is going to be amazing for that. That's one of the reasons why I love them. When I have effects that need to be to a certain BPM and set, and I have multiple of them, I don't have to sync them up. They're already in the unit. All I got to do is set them to the exact note value. I need a quarter note, eighth note, and bam, I got both units running in sync. I mean, both effects running in sync, or multiple effects running in sync. Or I can have multiple delays doing different stuff, staying in time, because it's all done in the multi-effects unit. Versus if I have a bunch of delays and a bunch of reverb pedals, or a bunch of delays and a bunch of choruses and flangers and stuff I want to be set to a BPM, I can do it. You can do it. It's going to be much more of a complicated setup. You know, you might have to get a MIDI controller. You know, you might have to you got to find a way to sync those pedals up. Hard part is, man, that's a lot more work than most people are trying to really do. That's why the multi-effects unit, I prefer my delays, reverbs, and modulations be in multi-effects units, because that's another reason why. You know, I'm not going to say for that very reason, because, I mean, one is just with the Zoom MS-70 CDR Plus, you get such a variety of chorus and delays and stuff reverbs. I don't need that. I don't need 5,000 of those. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need a lot of them, variety, but I don't need 50,000 pedals for that. So, but I'm trying to give you guys an example of that. So, if I going over to this pedal here and set it to, that's the quarter note. Set it to quarter note. I'm gonna set this modulation, this silky chorus. Let's see, it should be. This one don't let you do on time. Let me change this chorus. I'm gonna change this chorus to something else that allows me to do what I want to do. Come on. I'm just finding a chorus on here that I do what I wanted to do. See how the phaser is moving in synchronization with the delay there. Now you can also what I got on this joint. You can also sync up a filter. So I'm just giving y'all a lot of different scenarios where each one would be useful. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the individual pedals, there's nothing you can do about it. You gotta have the functionality of them. But when it comes to stuff like this, multi-effects units are amazing. Like they will make your life so much easier. There you go. right? So you got the delay on the quarter note, and we got the phaser moving at a whole note, so it's moving basically. Right, but then you got the filter now, which is doing triplets. Delays on tap tap tap. Reverb's doing so the delays doing quarter notes. The filter's doing. I mean the phaser, the phaser, the 4, and then the filter. Wow 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 wow. So you actually got 3 different things synced up there to the BPMs. You know what I'm saying? And you can do little stuff like, of course, you could just fade that in. You can. It has a auto swell or auto, basically a fade in on here, some type of fade in effect, auto something. I'm just not adding it right now, but I'm gonna do it manually with my volume knob. So, theoretically, you could have 6 different effects using 6 different rhythmic figures all lined up on there, because you can do stuff like they got a dual delay and dual tremolo. You set that to, certain speeds, different ones, different speeds. Dual phaser, you could do the same thing. So you can have a bunch of different stuff all synced up together, running together. And that's hard to do. It's not hard to do. It's expensive to do with individual pedals, as well as you have to have the technical know-how to how to work the MIDI clock and everything else, how to set up a MIDI controller and everything else. Not to mention, if you want to be able to switch all those patches and stuff, you have to have that set up in a MIDI controller and have this preset set up for all of that. Compared to, you could just have this one little pedal like this, taking up one pedal space, but it's 6 effects at a time and all synced up in here. And then you can use the tap tempo in here as well if you want to keep it live on beat or whatever the case. But that is that's very impressive for a unit that size. Like, that is, compared to, that would be 6 or 7 pedals. That would be this amount of pedals in actuality at minimum. Not to include the MIDI stuff, the MIDI cables, all these cables and stuff cost money. Cables, MIDI cables, audio cables, you know what I'm saying? Like, all that stuff is it gets expensive. Starts getting expensive. Not only that, it starts becoming time consuming when you could have just got a multi-effects unit, especially if you are just experimenting with effects, you're newer to them, why are you gonna go and get all that stuff? What sense that make? Get you a multi-effects unit, something where it's not like if you advance. You see, I don't get paid by Zoom. I've never even talked to anybody at Zoom. Okay, so it ain't like I'm getting paid by them to tell you this. I'm just saying it makes more practical sense to get something that you'll be able to use, and not only that, you'll be able to experiment with. But not only that, it won't discourage you. I think sometimes people can get discouraged by equipment, and then the equipment ended up sitting on the shelf because it felt too complicated. But really, in reality, it probably was just too much for them at their skill level. Like if I give you a big Yamaha Montage keyboard and you're not used to working the keyboard, you're not going to be able to get the EP sound. You're not even going to be able to get a string sound. If it's on piano, when I give it to you, you're going to have a hard time getting the strings because you don't know what you're doing. You ain't worked your way up from the Casio. You know what I'm saying? The little Casio joint. You know what I'm saying? You ain't work your way up on the little Fisher Price keyboard off of Amazon or joint. You know what I'm saying? You went straight to the top with all the features and everything you don't know how to use anyway. When you could have been jamming like a mug on that little Casio, because guess what? You put that Casio in the same hands of a legendary pianist and see how that Casio sound. You put some quote cheap effects like the Zoom effects and somebody like myself hands and see where it go versus where it go for other folks. It make a difference. It's gonna make a difference, and a lot of times people selling you stuff, they just selling you stuff. You gotta understand when people just selling you stuff. I'm not selling you anything. I'm just trying to help. I'm just giving advice here. I'm not actually selling these products. I don't get no kickback. Not yet, at least. At some point, these folks gonna have to give me something. Now, I'm like Denzel. I'm walking out here with something. You're gonna have to give me something. But right now, I buy all this stuff myself. I do these videos because I'm making money off of them. But two, this is just what I like to do. I like to teach. I teach in real life as well. So this is just another form of me teaching and explaining something that, it's hard to find effects students, So I like to share my knowledge. I don't like to keep it to myself. I want to see what you guys can do with the same information. A lot of times, the only thing separating you from the people at the top of whatever it is you want to do is the knowledge. That's pretty much it. Sometimes it's money. I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes it's money. They got a lot of money up there. But don't go get some big fancy unit like I don't want to name no name because y'all know I get the name of names. But don't go get some big fancy unit you don't know how to use. You ain't gonna use all them features. You just gonna get intimidated. It's going to end up staying home, not getting used in the trunk of your car, in the closet somewhere. Get you something simple. Learn how to use that and just work your way up. And your wallet will thank you because you'll find out what you really need on the way up. And you'll save a bunch of time, and you can use that time to practice. Oh, you forgot about practice, huh? You thought you were just going to play around with effects all day. Nah, you still got to practice. That's more important than playing around with effects. Matter of fact, I would argue that playing with effects definitely increases your practice hours, because even when you're taking more breaks, but I mean, even still, you need to have focused practice hours separated from effects with just your instrument. Like no effects, just your instrument and your fingers working with it. But yeah, what do y'all, let me know what y'all would think. What y'all think about the multi-effects units versus the pedals? Because one, the multi-effects units, let's just go down the list. Multi-effects units, they're more cost effective, right? They are, you're risking less by leaving them around in different venues. Setup and breakdown is faster. Um, you're gonna get typically a wider variety of effects than you probably could afford to buy at the given time. Most of us, most of us ain't rich, bro. We got bills, bro. I got kids. What y'all talking about? But yeah, I think those are the main key things. Plus, you'll get, like a Swiss Army knife, depending on which one you get. Something you can use on all gigs, every occasion, and it's not limited to a specific genre or something like that. So that's the multi-effects unit. Pedalboard. While being more expensive, it also offers you more flexibility and is more modular, more of a modular synth type thing, compared to the multi-effects unit, because you're building each individual effect. Like, you're picking out what sound you want for that particular unit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew when I heard the Poly Blue, I said, I'm getting that. Oh, that's coming. That come with me. I need that sound. You see what I'm saying? That's why I had to buy the separate pedal. You know what I'm saying? Because I already had the OC5. I'm like, well, what does it do that the OC5 don't do? Sound blue. It literally sounds blue, and this one sounds brown. It's weird. OC5 sounds brown. Poly Blue sounds blue. It's weird. But, yeah, and not only that, but then you're typically going to get sounds that you just never could get to in a multi-effects unit. You could spend all day fiddling with it, but you ain't going to get that exact sound. You're going to get some sounds that just would, I guess it gives you access to the entire world in a way. When you're using individual pedals, it's just so many of them. It's so many individual pedals, and you get into the analog side of the game too. And analog stuff, it hit different. It do. I don't always say, I don't think you need everything analog, but quick tip: once you go analog in your system, signal chain. Once it becomes analog, keep it analog. That'll help you preserve that analog tone that you just paid for. Don't go analog, digital, analog, and it's like you're losing all the analog goodness. Just stay, and once you go analog in that signal path, stay analog. So if you started off with a digital compressor, a digital octaver, and then a digital something else, and then you went like a analog filter, analog preamp, analog compressor, that's going to give you a super fat warm sound while being very detailed, from the digital part of it, signal. But when you get to the analog, just stay there. It's going, trust me, you'll thank me. And not only that, when people come up to you saying, "Oh, your sound is amazing," you're gonna be, yeah. The bass nakeds help me. I should have sent them $2. But don't forget that Cash App and that super thanks, man. I appreciate y'all hanging with me. But yeah, stay. You get into that analog territory, and it changes everything. Everything's different. But also, it's just cool. It's the other part of buying physical pedals is the artwork of it. I don't think you guys can really see some of the certain pedals. They have like art, like the electro harmonics. They have nice artwork on them, like this Blurst. That paint job. That joint has a very nice paint job. Poly Blue looks amazing. What else? What other pedals I have that I really like the look of? I love the all electro harmonics pedals look great. The V256 just orange, that ain't that great. But these, the Rabbit Sitar, the Key 9, Mel 9, the look of them is amazing. Plus, when you pull up with a real pedal board, they know you're not playing, bro. They're, oh, wow. They hoping you don't overdo it because you're the bass player. Like, I hope he don't think he about to use all that, but they be like, it's like anything else. Some things is the presentation of it. You go to a rock concert, they got all these big cabinets and stuff, and these days they not even plugged in. Like, they'll have all these big, huge speakers on stage and none of them plugged in, just for the look of it. Okay, so some things is about the presentation. I like the way, I like how when you buy a new pedal and you just open it up, it just looks brand new. The brand new paint job, it's just beautiful. I'm a collector, my collection isn't as big as some people's collection, but you gotta be thankful for what you got. Stop complaining all the time, sucker. But yeah, I would say a good part of it is that it makes your rig look official. Having a few pedals, actual pedals, instead of just like a B6 or something. It looks a little bit more regal. But it's going to be heavier. But it's going to, like, the tone quality you can get out of the individual pedals is just, it's like anything else. Like, tube amps sound amazing, but do you need to carry a tube amp all the time? Or, you know what I'm saying? No, you don't. The Class D amplifiers will do you just fine. The little lightweight joints that ain't got no tube, the solid state, little joints, But when you go in the studio, you might want to take that tube amp, if you got one, and get that tube sound on there. So it just depends. It's so many pros and cons to both of them. One is a way more expensive route, but it's way more detailed, and you're going to get way more mileage out of it long term. But if you get into it too soon, you won't know what you're doing. The other way is less expensive but limited. But it'll be easier for you to find your way in this whole effects game, like learning it. And before you even go to try to put together a pedal board, you can put together a bunch of digital pedal boards and learn which sound order, which order you like things to be in. Or just, all my digital signal paths match my analog ones. Or all my multi-effects pedal signal paths match my individual pedal signal paths in the same way. Because a lot of times what I'm doing is I'm taking, trying to emulate. If I'm not taking my pedals, I'm trying to still take that sound. So I'm trying to emulate that sound by taking that exact order. Say, octaver, overdrive, filter, running into preamp and compression. So I'm going to emulate that in the multi-effects unit. You can use multi-effects unit one at a time, like one effect at a time, but that's whack. But I mean, in a pedal board situation, that's amazing. Like here, if I just want to put a compressor here before this pedal, I could just do that. Or whatever effects I want to run before this, I can run it. Or I can run nothing through here and run straight into here. You see what I'm saying? Like, it allows so much flexibility. I can have 6 effects before this or no effects before this one. That's using the two concepts together. But multi-effects units are awesome. Pedals are awesome. You just got to learn your way first. And the easiest way to start with the multi-effects pedals and then move, learn what you're doing. Save your bread, for something else, or save that bread and get some lessons. I'd say go if you got all this extra bread lying around, you want to get 50,000 pedals. you might be better off just getting a multi-effects unit and getting some lessons from a nice professional in your area, get your technique together. That, everything is just about, it's not necessarily you spending less money, but it's you using it more efficiently. You're going to learn how to do effects, and you're going to learn how to play your bass better. I've taken lessons quite a few years when I was younger. I was in high school bands, middle school bands, so it's lessons. Don't take that as I think nobody else can play. That ain't how I take it. I'm telling you what's efficient, and what would help, or where you could spend that money instead of on a bunch of individual pedals. Get you a nice multi-effect. You can get a nice B6. You know what I'm saying? These B6s are nice. Like, these joints are, I use this. This is what I use, bro. Like, I'm not recommending something I don't use. It's what I use. You know what I'm saying? It's how I started out. I spent, actually, if you wanted to spend that money on, like, a nice keyboard or something, or a little keyboard, that'll help you as well. You can get your piano playing skills together. Learn, and it'll help you play bass better as well. So there's a lot of little things you could do other than spending all your money on effects, individual effects with that money, or you could simply just get yourself in the effects game. Using multi-effects pedals and learning your way. But it's up to you. So, I'm trying to think if I think that's about all I got on this one, guys. I definitely appreciate y'all hanging out with me. And make sure y'all subscribe, like, and share. Hit the Cash App. You can hit the super thanks, super chat. Well, the super chat ain't in. But you hit the super thanks. I definitely appreciate all y'all hanging with me. I know I be on this joint for a grip. 2.5 hours on it. You know what I'm saying? I was going to do 4 hours a day, but I couldn't get everything up rolling. You know what I'm saying? I was having some technical difficulties. I ain't even on Instagram live like I'm supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? I'm only on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. But y'all all I need, though. So, right now. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate y'all hanging with me. Find me on all social media at the Bass Niggas, and I will catch you guys next time. Thanks for hanging with me. Remember, you starting out, multi-effects. You've been in the game for a while, you learn your way, and then you start buying extra pedals, okay? Save your money. If you got a bunch of money lying around and you really want to do something with it, learn, spend it on that education part of your plan, lessons or something. Because it'll definitely, lessons going to take you further than some effects anyway, trust me. Like I said, I got all these joints, and half of these joints, they not, for your regular stuff, it ain't going to work. So, but y'all have a good one. I appreciate y'all.